this transitions into, obviously, the last player I want to speak about, and that's Trayce Jackson-Davis, who was mightily impressive yesterday. Worth mentioning that he didn't actually get an opportunity. He wouldn't have got an opportunity if it wasn't for Dario Saric's 3 fouls in the first half. So I think he starts the second quarter, or comes in the second quarter, plays the rest of the first half, which I was surprised about. He played kind of 5 or 6 minutes, and I thought, he's going to take him out here, and Loon will come back for the last few minutes. No, he kept him in Steve kept him in for the end of the first half, which I thought was big, and it was great. Now, he should have done the same in the second half. He came in, started the fourth quarter, played nearly 9 minutes in the fourth quarter, and then Loon came back in for the last 2:40, I think it was, of the game, when I think Trayce just should have closed. I think he deserved that. Just stuffed the stat sheet. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, and was +8 in less than 18 minutes. Unbelievable. And I think when you've got two guys, you're starting two options in terms of Loon and Saric off the bench. When those guys are a major liability on the respective ends of the floor, Loon is a major liability offensively, and Dario is a major liability defensively. When you've got another guy there who can give you stuff on both ends of the floor, you are doing yourself a disservice if you are not utilizing him. You really are. And so he just has to play. I'm sorry, and I know it's difficult. I know there's like 12 guys on this roster that can play, and maybe there's 10 now with GP2 and Draymond out at the moment. I know it's difficult. And I know that Steve likes the IQ, the consistency, I suppose, the experience of Loon. I get it. But at some point, you've just got to be like, hey, what this guy is giving us in terms of Trayce Jackson-Davis, what he's giving us right now, is too valuable not to use. And what I saw yesterday in terms of the Warriors and what they could do offensively, especially in that run in the second quarter, where defenses all of a sudden have to choose what they want to live with, basically. Where right now, if you've got like Steph out on the perimeter, Loon comes up and sets a screen or whatever else, and then if they double Steph and Loon's on the roll, he's just not really a threat in that scenario, because teams will willfully send to it Steph, let Loon roll, and he's not going to be able to do anything out of it. And the defense will back themselves to be able to recover in time. The help defense will have time to come over, because unfortunately, like, Loon's just not athletic enough to get to the rim and finish before the help comes or before the defense recovers. He's just not. And so teams will willfully just send to it Steph and let Loon do whatever, because he's just not an offensive threat. And you can say, oh, like, he's a good passer though. Yeah, cool, he's a good passer, but half of the passes should be coming when he should be finishing himself. So it was glaringly obvious with Trayce in the game yesterday, when Steph and CP were out there, that you run a pick and roll, and the defense has to choose whether to double Steph and give Trayce a wide open dunk at the rim, or give up a Steph open three, or CP mid-ranger. And Chris Paul's like shooting almost a career low. I think he's like 45% on mid-ranger so far, which is extremely low for him. He's usually like above 50%. So he can't hit his middies right now. And I think part of it is the fact that teams know that, hey, we can, the opposition big man, right, can stunt at Chris Paul a little bit more when Loon's out there, and say, well, we can send a little bit more to him, because we know Loon isn't going to be any kind of a threat. Now, I get that, CP's most of his minutes are with Dario. I get that. But I think it would be really, really important and really beneficial if Chris played more with Trayce as the rolling threat, where I think Chris Paul will get so many more open mid-range jump shots playing with Trayce, and his threat as a roller, as a lob threat, I think it'd be hugely beneficial. And you'll see CP3's percentage in terms of what he's shooting from the mid-range. I think you'll see that skyrocket playing with him. And then, of course, he's going to get the lobs He's going to get the dunks on the roll, which we saw yesterday. It's just night and day. It is night and day, the difference between what you get with Kevon Looney on the roll and what you get with Trayce on the roll. And I know that's just like one area of the game, but it was quite amazing to see how many finishes the Warriors were getting inside yesterday. This is a team that lives out on the perimeter, but they were actually killing Portland in the first half yesterday on the inside. And it wasn't shocking because they had a rim threat in Trayce Jackson-Davis there, and they had another highly athletic rim finisher in Jonathan Kuminga out there at the same time. Both those guys. And all of a sudden, the Warriors are using the gravity of Steph and of Clay, the mid-range threat of Chris Paul, to get these easy looks at the basket. And I know it's Portland, like, they're not a great team, but they've actually been a good defense so far this season. And they had their, like, pretty much their full array of players out there yesterday. And so that was impressive. The way they were able to finish at the rim and get easy baskets was great to see and rare to see from a Warrior standpoint. And so Trayce just needs to play.